بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. By the name of Allah, the most merciful, the giver of mercy, and prayers and blessings and peace be upon our Master Muhammad and upon his family and upon all the messengers and prophets. So today we're starting a new chapter within the intellectual dimension of Islam. Previously, we have finished the first two chapters. The first one is about the language, the second one is about characteristic, and this one would be the actual thing we want to talk about regarding this dimension, the intellectual dimension. And this is talking about the sources of knowledge. And we have multiple sources of knowledge as humans, and mostly they are four, the main four ones, and from them we have the other ones branching. So the I mean, therefore, so those would be the rational knowledge, and then we would have the empirical knowledge or the analog anal it's analogical knowledge could be called, and the emotional knowledge and the transmitted knowledge. So the first one, the rational knowledge, is the direct rational judgment. It is the thing that is done by the mind. So the mind actually, as we said and we'll repeat and we'll say it here also, the mind as in its creation and how it was created and made, it has instinct. Exactly how, for example, our skin has instinct. It works in a certain way. It has the nervous system, the nerve endings, and you feel with it. You can feel the smoothness or the roughness of something. You can feel the temperature for how hot and how cool is something. You can feel pain. You can feel all sort of things. So the same thing for the mind. It's the instinct that was created in the mind that makes it operate in how it operates, that actually makes it available for us to understand. So the rational judgment, and rational is related to the mind. So the first source of knowledge is rational knowledge. And this source of knowledge, which we will talk about for couple of chapter or couple of meetings and lessons, because this is one the most important, because without it we can't comprehend all the other sources of knowledge at all. So the rational knowledge, as I said, is the instinct that the mind carries, that the mind actually operates upon, that the mind, how the mind was created. So the rational knowledge is the first source of knowledge. The second source of knowledge is the empirical or the analogical knowledge. I think that's how it's pronounced. It's the experienced or the perceived knowledge through senses. So you have the five senses, which is the taste, the smell, the vision, how you see things, hearing things, and touch. And actually, touch has many things in it, but they consider it one. So those are the perceived senses. Those are the senses. Those are the things that connects you to the outside world. It connects you to your outside world, the body, and it connects you to the outside world, which is the world outside of your body also. So even pain, like when you have a stomach ache or when you get hit on, for example, you have an itch or a bone breaks or you feel hungry or cold or hot, all of those are empirical knowledge. Those are experienced. Those are perceived by the five senses. And the five senses, the perceived knowledge, it is exposing us to the outside world. It is making us experiencing the outside world, as I said, including our body, which is the outside world, and including the environment around us. So that's the empirical knowledge, which we take from the five sensories. And we could expand on that also when, for example, when I would use, so I'm sitting in my room, and let's say I am monitoring a big building and I have cameras all around the building. I can see every direction. And with the monitors that I'm looking at, I can see each corner and each area outside and inside. Those are also considered to be the empirical knowledge because I am preserving it or perceiving it, sorry, through my five senses, but through other means. So it's not a direct preserving, but it's through another tool. So, for example, if I want to know exactly the temperature somewhere, so I would put the thermometer in that area, and the readings will come to me, and I will perceive it through my five senses. So again, that's empirical knowledge, but it all comes through the senses, my senses. I can look at the screen. I can look at the temperature reading. For example, if I am using X-ray machine or I'm using infrared, again, it's not a direct thing through my senses, but is through my senses. So it is still an empirical knowledge. And the same thing for the scientifical experiments. Scientists experiment on things in the world, and throughout those readings, they understand and they know what's going on. This is actually being perceived by the empirical knowledge, by the five senses. So that's the second source of knowledge, the empirical knowledge. The third source of knowledge is the emotional knowledge. It's the sentimental or the subjective. It is me feeling my emotions. It is me feeling what I feel inside. So it's not senses. Senses is for the outside, emotions is for the inside. Senses can feel the body, but emotions feel what I feel. It's the sentimental values inside of me. It's the subjective feeling. It is my emotions. And that's also a source of knowledge. But each source of knowledge we should not mix between because empirical gives me readings for something and emotional gives me a reading for another thing. So it's a source of knowledge, the emotional knowledge, but is telling me about my emotions. So if I want to see my emotions inside, I can use that source of knowledge. But it's subjective. It's subjective to me. I am the object here, the inside of me, that being measured and being told what I am, what I feel. Am I angry? Am I calm? Am I satisfied or am I displeased? Am I scared or am I feeling secure? Do I feel that I am have a value or do I feel myself pathetic? It's all emotional. Those emotions being preserved by me by the emotional knowledge because I can feel that. It's like the five senses or the empirical knowledge tell it's let's imagine ourselves like a house, and within that house I have the inside, which is the emotional knowledge, and I have the outside, which is the empirical knowledge. The empirical knowledge tells me everything about the outside world, including my house on the inside. But emotional knowledge tells me about myself inside. How do I feel? What's going on inside of me? So that's The third source of knowledge. The fourth source of knowledge, and the final one, is the transmitted knowledge. It is when you get something reported to you. It is also when you get taught something, when you're reading a book, when you're watching a video, um, when you are being taught, when somebody is telling you something, that's all transmitted to you. You didn't see the knowledge itself. You didn't do the experiment yourself. You didn't see the revelation yourself. You didn't see Gabriel yourself. Um, you didn't see hell and heaven yourself. It's all being transmitted to you, which they transmitted knowledge, including revelation. So those are things that has been told to you, transmitted to you, reported to you, taught to you. You did not experience it yourself. So, for example, how did, for example, um, your your father's grandfather look like? If you didn't see it, then your dad, your father, will tell you about it. So, for example, your grandsons, if they didn't see you, if they don't remember you, then your sons or your grandsons will actually tell your grandsons about who were you, where you lived, how would you have looked like, what's your name. It's all transmitted knowledge. The books we read, if we take a book, a scientifical book, and we start reading it, or if we are looking at if we are hearing the news, this is all transmitted knowledge. It is knowledge through our five senses, yes, but they are not the source. They are not the ones actually exploring this knowledge. They are being here, they're hearing, they're being reported to us. So those are the transmitted knowledge, including the unseen worlds. So angels and jinns and the hereafter and life after death. This is all transmitted. We do not see it. But the nice thing about it in Islam, it all has rules. It all has logical and mental rules so that you would know exactly what to believe, which means what to trust, which means which one is an actual objective knowledge and which one is nonsense, which one is heresy. And inshallah, when we get to the transmitted knowledge, we will talk about that. We'll talk how would you actually trust a news? How would you trust something reported to you? What are the actual conditions and parameters? When you look at it, you judge it that, okay, this is truthful and this cannot be truthful, or this could be truthful, but I may choose to trust it or not. So it is not just about pure blind belief, because believe means that there is knowledge, and this knowledge you're receiving just being transmitted to you, being reported to you, being taught to you, being revelated to you. How would you judge that this is actually a revelation of God and it's not just some a person trying to scam you? It is not just something that was made up, or it's not a lie. It all has rules. That's why Islam is so powerful, because it doesn't take things for granted. It has sciences that governs all this, so that whenever you receive something, you actually know, you can judge it. You can say, well, this is good, this can be considered, or this is nonsense, this is not good, this is not true, this is not okay. And so, but those four sources of knowledge, the rational knowledge, the empirical knowledge, the emotional knowledge, and the transmitted knowledge, first we will take them in order. First of all, we will talk about the rational knowledge. We will go so in deep in it because that's the main subject of this entire thing. And then when we're done with it, we will have a lot of measures, we will have a lot of rules and conditions set for us, which will actually teach us how to use our rationality, how to use our mind, how to use logic, how to use this magnificent creation that God created, which called the mind, this magnificent instinct. How do we use it right? And then it will become much easier later to get into the other things. So let's start with the rational knowledge. Um, Rational knowledge is what that's when we are talking about the mind. And I just want to say something that the mind is not this dry, lifeless operations that's happening. When we get into it, actually, it's full of life. And the mind, and this is one of the most important sentences you would hear, the mind is the highest authority in knowledge regarding who the human being. So the human being has sources of knowledge. The highest authority in knowledge is the mind. Again, the mind is the highest authority in knowledge within the human being. Even divine revelation is being judged to to understand or to know if it's actually divine revelation or human made thing. So who judged this? It is the mind. So the mind is the highest authority in knowledge within the human being. There is nothing higher than the mind within the human being that has the authority to judge anything, to understand anything, to comprehend anything. The mind is the highest. So if you delete or cancel or stop the mind, you're actually stopping comprehension and understanding altogether. You have no knowledge. And so you would be just a follower. You would be just a person who being leashed and dragged. God Almighty created the mind so that we use it, not so that we stop it. Even when we say, I am going to stop the mind, you're not stopping it because you're taking the decision by the mind. So we need to let this sink that the mind is the highest authority in knowledge within the human being. You cannot override it because overriding the mind will override any kind of understanding you have ever. You cannot judge anything. And this is wrong because this actually will make you um, commanded to do, and you don't know who is commanding you. You cannot judge the one who is commanding you because we even judge when we're being taught, okay, God is telling you to do this. That's an order, that's a command. I will follow it if it's only from my God, if it's only from my Creator. But how would I know that who you're talking about, who your orders are from, is from my God, is from my Creator? How would I know that? How would I know that you're truthful? And maybe the text is there, but you are manipulating the text so that you would be able to manipulate me. You will be able to take advantage of me. If I stop my mind, I cannot know. So I need to use this instinct, this tool, this creation that God created in me that no one can force me to stop because God wants me to use it so that I would understand. Even divine revelation is being judged by the mind to know, is that actually divine revelation from my creator? Or is that something was made up so that it will serve their purposes? So the mind is the highest authority in knowledge. There is no understanding after it. Okay? It is the tool that receives, that's number one, receives, classifies, that's number two, analyzes, that's number three, and judges, that's number four. So the mind is the tool that receives, classifies, analyzes, and judges all kinds of perceptions: sensory, transmitted, emotional, and inspirational. Everything is being judged by the mind. We talked about the other sources of knowledge. We said that the first one is the rational knowledge, which we're talking about right now. But we said the empirical knowledge, the emotional knowledge, and the transmitted knowledge, all of those, the empirical, the emotional, and the transmitted, all of those are being judged by the rational knowledge. That's why I told you it's the highest authority in knowledge. All of them report to the rational knowledge so that they can be judged. Are they correct or not, according to the instincts God created in the human mind? So all of them reports to the king of knowledge in the human, which is the mind. Without reason, there is no understanding, and there is no understanding without reason. And even if you come to the divine revelation, God tells us the following: so set your face towards the religion uprightly, the fitrah or the innate of Allah upon which He created the people. There is no altering Allah's creation. That's the upright religion, but most of the people do not know. What is the fitrah? What is the innate? It's the mind. Is the creation, the way how God created the mind to be the way it is. That's the innate. That's how we were created. The innate means how things were created. And in Arabic, it's called fitra. Fitra. And fitra means when something is how it's created. That's how God created you. That's how God wants you to be. And in another chapter, God says, indeed, we have sent it down as an Arabic Quran so that you may reason. Why Arabic? Because Arabic is one of the most, if you study it, one of the most logical languages ever. So this means God wants you to reach to the utmost logic when you're reading his book. So he revelated in the utmost logical and sound language he created. And he revelated his Quran, his revelation in that language, so that when you read the Quran within that language, you would actually get the most of the revelation. So God says, what? Indeed, we have sent it down as an Arabic Quran, so that you may what? So that you may reason. That's how we understand things. We cannot override that. We cannot let anybody um, convince us to override rational knowledge, because that's how we judge things. Because bypassing reason is bypassing understanding. When you cannot reason, you can't understand. And you cannot take reason for granted when saying, okay, 1 plus 1 equals 2, 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, but then it works on some things and it doesn't work on other things. No, it works. You're just bypassing it. You're just lowering your gaze upon it. You don't want to see it because it's not reasonable what you're um, giving me, what you're trying to convince me with. And because what you're trying to convince me with is not reasonable, you want me to stop reasoning so that My mind will rhyme with your unreasonable agenda for me to believe in whatever you're telling me. It's not about only Christianity, it's also about atheism, because atheism, they do not adhere at all to the reasoning. They claim so, but as far as we will go through the lessons and meetings, when you will learn the laws of the mind, you will see that they do not adhere at all to the mind. If they would very simply know that there is a creator. Very simply. Okay, so bypassing reason is bypassing understanding. And so the mind is the condition for understanding itself. Like understanding, as the concept of understanding, how you understand, the mind is the condition behind it. It's why it's there. It's why it's available. It's why it's it actually can happen. Without it, we become perceiving beings without any distinction. You perceive, I could say green is red, and a speaker can perceive that and take it and store it. But is actually green is red? No, it is not. Those are two distinct things. So I'm turning myself into a perceiving tools like a sensor or a camera or a microphone, just perceiving information without being able to process it and analyze it and judge it and make sure it's sound. So without the mind, understanding cannot happen. And that's why many people wants to eliminate and destroy the mind in many, many ways. And so the mind judges all the mediums of knowledge. The senses is perceived by reason. Transmission is presented to reason. Inspiration is tested by logic of the text of the revelation, and the text, the actual revelation, has come to us by the Arabic language. And the Arabic language is what? Is a language. What is a language? A language is a logical arrangement, all of which is only understood through reason. Means how we arrange things so that we perceive the meaning and the concept behind it. That's language. So, how do you judge something? Is by the logical arrangement of it. And so, even feeling, our feelings are felt, but not understood or expressed except through reason. Not even managed, the feelings not even managed, but through reason, except for through reason. So, reasoning is very important, the utmost important, to the point that the divine revelation, the divine discourse itself, is built upon reason. Revelation comes in a logically comprehensible linguistic form, and um, like even the insane person are not held accountable because they lack reason. So who is actually obligated is the sane person, is the person who can reason. But a person who actually lost his sanity and he's insane, he's crazy, he's not held accountable by Allah. He's not obligated because he doesn't have the tool to be obligated. So the mind and reason, where it is, it's within reason, it's within the mind. And so, as I said, that the mind is the final place of judgment. It's like the highest. It's the you know how you go somewhere and you go through a way or a street, and you have this and that and this and that, and in the end, what do you have? It's a dead end. Who is the final thing there? It is the mind. Like it's like the Supreme Court. You can have, you know, lawyers, you could have judges, you could have this and that. But it's like, what is the highest authority? What is the highest thing that actually will judge everything below it? It is the mind. So the mind is the final place of judgment. Everything incoming from the outside via the senses or transmission, or from the inside via emotions or inspirations, ends in the mind. And there, and only there, it is accepted or rejected. So when you see or find or hear or meet a person that wants you to not being able to accept and reject rationality and logic, immediately know that person wants to take advantage of you. It is that simple. And so the mind is the guardian of the boundaries of meaning and distinction. Very important. The mind is the guardian of the boundaries of meaning and distinction. How do you understand meanings? How are they sound? Do they have distinction? Because if you lose and break the laws of the mind, then even talking doesn't make any sense because now red is the same as green. You have no distinction between things. So whenever you break the laws of the mind, that's it. Everything goes crazy. You cannot apply the laws of the mind on something and then just reject applying it on something else that actually understood and comprehended and say, no, it is a creation, but you know, you shouldn't be looking at it this way because one plus one plus one equals one. And so without the laws of the mind, which identity, number one, number two, non-contradiction, and number three, excluded middle, and so on and so forth, if they're lost, boundaries of meaning disappear. If one is the same as two, well, then that's it. We're done. And properties are lost. What is the difference between hot and cold? What is the difference between death and life? What is the difference between an eye and a finger? What is the difference between a sword and a loaf of bread? Who who actually make it distinct? Who actually can judge it? It's the mind. So when the mind goes, meanings disappear, properties are lost, and judgment becomes futile. Like that's it. So the most important thing, without it, a human cannot become a human. It could be just a being. It exists, should be respected, should be protected, but has no meaning of humanity. The mind is the most important piece ever. And that's what actually enables us to become human. And I wish that I will teach this, the intellectual dimension, and for you to understand it. And then after we finish it, you come back again and you keep digging into it. You keep going deeper into it, and then you spread it all over whoever you can spread it with. Because this is very important. The next generations gonna suffer a lot because they are targeting the mind. They want to eliminate reasoning. It's for the sake of the next generations, for the sake of humanity. We need to understand this. We need to feel that this is important because it is. It's what makes us human. It's what protects our humanity. So that's it for today. Do you have any questions?
Can you repeat the part where the mind is the guardian of?
Yeah, the mind is the guardian of the
Uh,
boundaries of meaning and distinction. Without the laws of the mind, which are identity, non contradiction, excluded middle, and other things, etc., the boundaries of meaning disappear, properties are lost, and judgment become futile.
can you repeat the last part of it again? The boundaries
Yep.
of
The boundaries of meaning disappear.
meaning.
Yep. Properties are lost,
Yeah, property.
and judgment becomes futile. Cool.
Thank you.
Yep. You are very, very welcome. Cool. So, see you inshallah in the next meeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.